Good morning everybody, I'm Steve and this is Green Side Up. No, I haven't turned into a cabbage. I'm down here at the bottom of my new raised beds. I filled the last one of these back in March, so that's just slightly over 5 months ago. And I think it was Digwell Greenfingers on my latest topic about no dig, who said that at least he got his started in autumn and other people were just starting theirs in spring. And that rang true really for me here, because everything's not quite as it seems. Things have grown fairly well, some crops better than others, and crops where I know that normally if I put them in soil and fertilise them direct like I normally do, they grow fantastic. Well, they haven't yet, and I've got a few answers for that and some solutions, but we'll just have a walk up first and have a look at the various things. So the celeriac, I'll just walk around a bit here. You can see that starting to get to a size, but really they should be 6 inches across by now at least, and they're plainly not. This was all my early season calibres in here. These beetroots in the middle here, these should be bulbed up by now, they're not. And the leeks over there at the end, they should be a lot thicker. They've been in a good 2 months now and they're just not performing really. And it's been really the same over the whole crop. I've got carrots in that frame over there, and they haven't done particularly well. They've done okay and we're getting a crop from them. I've lifted one cage already, the rest will be coming up in this week, so we'll see then. The quick ground crops have done very well, things like lettuces, which you could see there, and spring onions. But again, here the radishes, they're very poor, and I don't normally suffer trying to grow a radish, and these have actually gone to flower whilst I've been waiting for them to bulb up, and they just haven't. They've all had plenty of water, and I'm reluctant to put feed in to the soil in this crops, but we'll do something. We're going to have to really. Sweet corn looks to have done well, but there are some signs here of what's actually going on with this compost. We'll go and have a sit down over there and we'll have a little look at it. Hi, I'm here again. I changed from a cabbage back to a human. Okay, I've got my sweet corn here, and what I've been taking off are these things. So these are directly connected cobs. There's even a third one on there to the main cob. That's the one we're going to eat. That's not really full and that's useless. Get rid of it. But there's lots of these on there. Again, 2 on each. There's a couple more in there. Now, sweet corn is a grass, and as many gardeners will know, if you're up to date with your fertilisers and what does what, nitrogen feeds sweet corn, and that's what gives you all that lush growth and grows these cobs. And if you've got an overindulgence of it in the soil, you get this, and you also get side shoots growing off sweet corn as well when you've got an abundance of nitrogen. Now, when we looked at the celeriac right at the start, the roots themselves weren't very good. They weren't of a decent size, what I would expect. But the foliage again was whizzing off way too high, much higher than I've ever really grown it before. The same with the radishes, they've just shot up and they've just gone to flower. And the lettuces are all doing brilliantly. All the leafy crops have done really well, like the beetroot. Again, it's all nicely leafed up, but no bulbs. So what it is this compost that I bought this year. It's green waste compost. I bought it because it was the cheapest stuff available in bulk to fill these beds, and it's only been in the beds for about 5 months now. And I say, Steve from Digwell Greenfingers commented on it that he'd done his in the autumn, whereas people who are asking him about his crops were only starting it in spring. And I think that's key really, is that these beds aren't yet mature. So what I was doing yesterday is I dug down through the compost layers. I wanted to see if the compost layer itself and the soil level underneath were mingling yet. I mean, worms will do that for you, soil activity will do that for you, and they're not. It's just a deadpan soil. It's like a sedimentary layer. It's soil and then it's the compost. So that isn't really happening yet. So the mycorrhizal pathways that you get in soil from mushrooms, you know, the white stuff that you see in soil occasionally, isn't making that connection with the compost yet, and therefore with my plants. So the plants are just using what is in the compost, and at the minute it's an excess of nitrogen. Hopefully next year there'll be less nitrogen in it and I shouldn't have so much of an issue, and hopefully by then the pathways between the soil and the compost will be better. But just in case they're not quite there, I've bought something which will help me. I can watch the crops closer next year and I can react to soil conditions. So I've just bought this because my other one was knackered. My other two were knackered actually. I've got two of them, but they're both very old. So I bought a new pump action spray, and what I'm going to do with that is foliar feed the plants next year as they need it. So if they're lacking in phosphorus, I'll mix up some phosphorus and so on and so forth, and I'll just feed directly to the plants. I don't want to put anything in the soil or on the soil. I don't want to start putting chemicals or fertilizers on the soil and disrupting the soil bacteria that's underneath there. Obviously can't dig it because it's no dig, and that will just destroy it further. So this is a short-term solution. We'll use this sprayer and feed the plants there. We'll just have to keep a better weather eye on them next year. So that's my solution for that, and we'll crack on with that next year. So there we go, nice little harvest of sweet corn there. Potatoes behind the sharp O'Meara's. This corn is the last of the harvest. We've been eating it for 2 weeks, and it looks like we'll be eating it for another 2. But that's fine because it's wonderful. Doesn't take long to cook. A minute in boiling water, it's done. Just slather it in butter or whatever you fancy, and away you go. Whatever we're not going to eat from a cob fresh, I'll remove it from the cobs, blanch them and freeze them. You've got to blanch them to get rid of the bacteria that's on them. So there we go, that's what I'll be doing with that. Another harvesting. So there we go, the no dig beds. They were only filled towards the end of March, so they're only sort of 5-6 months old, still young, immature, and it'll be into next year I think, before I start noticing a difference that I've noticed in other places. I've been doing no dig for about 4, possibly 5 years now, and the scale has just got larger and larger as I've gone along, and I have noticed that this year has not been as good as previous years, what I would expect, and it's nowhere near as good as if I was fertilising the soil myself as I've done when I was digging soil. So anyway, I've noticed that there was a problem, and I've taken the time to assess it, work it out, and I know what the problem is now. It's green waste manure. It was high in nitrogen, but hopefully now it should settle down for next year. And with that new sprayer that I've got, I can foliar feed the plants. I can give the plants what each individual plant and crop needs. I'm hoping that'll be the case, and I'm hoping I don't really have to do that. Certainly don't want to be digging it up and destroying what's being done already in the soil, and I don't really want to be adding fertilisers directly onto the soil. I want to keep that as natural and as organic as possible and let the soil organisms get on with it. I don't want to be introducing anything into it. Just let the soil get on with its job. But I have a backup plan. I can feed the plants directly. Just use the sprayer, spray around underneath the leaves, and it will take it in that manner. So that's how I'm going to progress with next year. Had a bit of a harvest today and cleaned up another bed, so I'm pleased with that. And to be honest with you, the no-dig hasn't been that bad, because I've had 2 crops out, or I'm getting 2 crops, and in some cases 3 this year in that 5 months. But it just hasn't been what I've expected, and I say the telltale signs were there. The sort of double fruiting of the sweet corn, you're getting 2 sweet corn cobs from the same location, and the side shoots. The overly high celeriac foliage, and I mean, I just chopped a lot of that off the other day. There was tons of it. The same with the radishes, they've bolted up and gone to seed. And the leafy veg has done really, really well, so the signs were there. I've just read them and know where to go from here. So that's what I'm going to do next year. There's a hell of a lot more work to do before we get there, mind, but we'll get it done. So that's it for today. Look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days.